The quiet champion. Think you can mess with me? Derek snarled, his hands balling into fists until his knuckles went white. You believe that silent treatment will get you anywhere at Jefferson High? Maya slowly lifted her gaze, and something flickered in her dark eyes that made the gathered students fall silent, a steely determination that had nothing to do with fear. I'm not playing games, Derek. Her voice remained eerily composed. I was simply hoping you wouldn't push me to reveal my true nature. And what exactly are you? He taunted, completely unaware that within moments he'd be sprawled on the pavement, while the entire school buzzed with disbelief about what had transpired. Stay with us for the most captivating part. Don't miss out. Like and subscribe to keep following along. Everything started that Tuesday morning at Jefferson High in the quiet community of Riverside, Pennsylvania. Dawn fog still lingered across the school grounds when 17-year-old Maya Chen crossed the entrance threshold of her new educational institution. Her family had recently relocated from Philadelphia after her mother secured a position at the regional medical facility, marking Maya's 5th school transfer in 4 years. From the outside, nothing distinguished her from any other student. Medium, build, lean frame, with jet black hair gathered in a practical ponytail. She wore simple dark jeans and a plain gray hoodie, deliberately choosing clothes that wouldn't draw attention. Her strategy was to remain inconspicuous, to respond quietly when instructors called on her, to blend seamlessly into the background. What none of her new classmates could have imagined was that Maya held the title of Pennsylvania Junior State Champion in mixed martial arts. 5 years of rigorous training at one of Philadelphia's most prestigious combat sports academies had transformed her into a formidable competitor, capable of holding her own against adult fighters. Her devastating right cross could fracture ribs, and her submission techniques had left seasoned trainers in awe. However, at her mother's earnest request, they had agreed to keep this background completely hidden in their new hometown. Let's have a fresh beginning, darling, her mother had urged. You understand how people respond when they discover your abilities. Let's simply be an ordinary family. Maya had reluctantly agreed, though something deep within her protested. In Philadelphia, people had respected her precisely because she never allowed anyone to intimidate her. But here in Riverside, she was merely the newcomer. The problems began on her very first day. During the lunch period, Maya sat by herself at a corner table in the cafeteria when a towering, broad-shouldered young man approached her. He sported a military-style haircut and carried himself with obvious arrogance. 2 companions trailed behind him, one short and wiry with darting eyes, the other tall with a calculating smirk. Well, well, newcomer, the leader announced as he dropped into the seat across from her. Name's Derek Walsh. This is my territory, my regulations. He gestured toward his friends, Connor and Tyler. Maya glanced up from her meal. Pleasure to meet you, I'm Maya. Maya, Derek repeated, savoring the name. Where'd you come from? Philadelphia. Philadelphia, Connor snickered. So you think you're superior to us small-town folk just because you're from the big city? I don't think that, Maya responded quietly, continuing to eat. But I believe you do. Derek leaned forward. Listen, sweetheart, we operate on a straightforward system here. Newcomers demonstrate respect, particularly those from major cities who act like they're too sophisticated for us. Maya felt tension building in her chest. That tone, that smugness, it was painfully familiar. But she had made a promise to her mother. I don't want any conflict, she said, pushing back her chair to stand. Where do you think you're going? Tyler pressed his palm against her shoulder, stopping her. We haven't finished our conversation yet. What exactly do you want? Her voice carried a hint of steel, but the boys failed to notice. Just a small token of respect, Derek sneered. Let's say $10 daily for protection. You know, in a new school, all kinds of accidents can happen to a solitary girl. Maya slowly studied their faces. In Derek's eyes, she saw the predator's confidence that his prey wouldn't resist. Connor was grinning, enjoying the spectacle. Tyler simply waited for her to crumble. I need time to consider it, she finally said. Naturally, Derek graciously allowed. You have until tomorrow. Oh, and Maya, he leaned closer, his breath warm against her face. Don't even consider tattling. The faculty here adores us. My father sponsors the basketball team. After they departed, Maya remained seated for several more minutes, her fists clenched beneath the table. She could have ended it immediately. One accurate strike, and Derek would have spent the remainder of the day in the medical office. But her promise to her mother held her back. Following school, she walked home with her mind racing. $10 daily meant $300 monthly, over $2,000 for the entire academic year. And this was just the beginning. She understood boys like Derek. Give in now and it would only escalate. At home, her mother was already preparing dinner. Dr. Lisa Chen appeared exhausted after her first day at the new position, but she still smiled at her daughter. "How was school, sweetheart?" "It went fine," Maya lied. "Just a typical first day. Made any friends?" "Too early to say." Her mother observed her carefully. Over the years, they had developed the ability to read each other's unspoken thoughts, and Lisa sensed something was amiss. "If there are any issues, it's all right to—" "Everything's fine, Mom, really." But that night, Maya couldn't sleep. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, visualizing Derek's face. His arrogant smile, the condescending look in his eyes, the patronizing tone. In Philadelphia, she would have already resolved this. Everyone there knew better than to cross Maya Chen, but here she was just the quiet new student who wanted to avoid trouble. The following morning, Wednesday, the situation intensified. Maya had barely entered the school building when Derek and his friends cornered her near the staircase. "So, have you made your decision?" he asked, cutting straight to the point. "I won't be paying you," Maya stated firmly. The smile vanished from Derek's face. "What did you just say?" "I said no." For several seconds they stared at each other. Then Derek chuckled, but it was a cold, humorless sound. "You know what, sweetheart? I hoped you'd be reasonable about this," he shrugged. "But if you want to play the hero," what followed became a nightmare for Maya. Derek and his companions seemed to declare open season on her. Between classes, they discovered ways to make her existence miserable. In first period biology, Connor accidentally bumped into her, sending all her materials flying. When she bent to retrieve them, he stepped on her notebook with his muddy shoe. "Whoops," he smirked. "My mistake." Between second and third periods, Tyler shoved her against a wall hard enough to make her shoulder ache. She simply gritted her teeth. "Watch your step," he barked as he walked away. By lunchtime, things reached a breaking point. Maya was sitting at the same table as the previous day when Derek approached, this time accompanied by half the basketball team. "Word is," he announced loudly, ensuring everyone nearby could hear, "the new girl doesn't want to respect our customs. Thinks she's too good for our rules." Conversations at surrounding tables quieted as everyone turned to watch. "Derek, please," Maya said softly. "I just want to get through school peacefully. And I just want you to understand your position." He leaned down closer. "You see, when someone ignores my requests, it makes me look bad." He picked up her tray and slowly dumped the contents onto her lap. Hot soup soaked through her jeans and chunks of vegetables scattered across the floor. "Oh no, what a disaster." Derek feigned concern. The cafeteria erupted in laughter. Someone even began recording with their phone. Maya sat motionless, feeling the soup seeping through her clothing. Inside her, a tempest was building. Cold and controlled, but no less dangerous. "What are you waiting for?" Derek taunted. "Clean it up." Maya stood slowly, soup dripping from her jeans onto the floor. The laughter around her grew louder, but she didn't hear it. She was staring directly at Derek. "You just made a serious error," she said. Her voice was quiet, but it cut through the noise like a blade. "And what are you going to do about it?" He laughed. "Run to the principal? Call your mommy." Maya didn't respond. She simply grabbed her backpack and walked out of the cafeteria, leaving behind puddles of soup and echoes of laughter. In the restroom, she attempted to clean the stains, but it was hopeless. Her hands were trembling, not from fear, but from the rage she was barely containing. 5 years of training had taught her to channel her aggression, to use it wisely. But today, that control was slipping. She pulled out her phone and called her former instructor back in Philadelphia. "Sensei Rodriguez, this is Maya Chen." "Maya, how's the new school?" "Not great. I have a problem with some local bullies." There was a pause on the line. Sensei Rodriguez had known Maya since she first entered the dojo as a frightened 12-year-old, desperate to defend herself from high school students who had once attacked her. "What's happening?" Maya provided a brief summary of the situation. When she finished, he sighed. "Listen carefully, young one. I know your mother wanted you to keep your skills hidden, and that's wise. But sometimes secrets become dangerous." "What do you mean?" "If you continue letting them push you around, they'll only become more aggressive. Boys like that only understand strength. But remember, if you decide to act, do it intelligently. Not at school, not in front of witnesses, and don't cause any permanent damage. I remember your teachings." "Good. And Maya, no matter what happens, you have the right to defend yourself." Maya spent the rest of the day in deep contemplation. By the final bell, she had reached her decision. She wasn't going to tolerate this anymore. After school, she remained in the library, pretending to study. In reality, she was waiting for most students to leave. She needed to speak with Derek privately. Around 4 o'clock, she stepped outside. The parking lot was nearly empty. with only a few faculty and senior students' vehicles remaining. She knew Derek typically stayed late for basketball practice. Maya walked to the athletic facility and peered through the window into the gymnasium. Practice had just concluded, and players were heading to the locker rooms. She waited another 30 minutes until she saw Derek emerge from the building alone. His friends had already departed. "Derek," she called. He turned, a smirk spreading across his face when he saw her. "Well, look who's here." "Soup Girl's back for seconds." Maya stepped closer. They were alone in the empty parking lot. "I need to discuss what happened today in the cafeteria." "What about it?" "I thought it was pretty amusing. For you, perhaps. Not for me." Derek moved forward, towering over her at nearly 6.5 feet. He loomed above Maya's 5'3" frame. "Listen up, little girl. I tried to be nice, gave you a simple choice, pay up and live peacefully, but you wanted to play hero. Now it's going to be the hard way." "The hard way? Tomorrow, the entire school will know you're just another loser from Philadelphia. I'll tell everyone how you sat there in your own soup, too scared to move. I'll post photos online, and Soup Girl will be perfect." There was a flicker in Maya's eyes, something Derek noticed, but misinterpreted. "You're frightened. Too late, sweetheart. Should have thought of that earlier." "You know, Derek," Maya said in a calm, almost gentle voice, "I have a proposal." "A proposal? You're in no position to offer anything. One-on-one, right here, right now. If you win, I'll pay you. Not $10 daily, but 20. I'll do whatever you say." Derek raised an eyebrow, surprised. "And if you win, you leave me alone forever. And you apologize in front of the entire school for what happened today." Derek burst into laughter. "Are you serious? You want to fight me? I want to end this once and for all." "Little girl, I've been playing basketball since I was 8. My coach is a former college player. I can bench press 400 pounds, and you—" He looked her up and down with disdain. "You look like a strong wind could knock you over. Then you have nothing to worry about." Something in her tone made Derek examine her more closely. Maya stood there perfectly calm, her arms hanging loosely at her sides, but there was a quiet confidence in her posture that he hadn't noticed before. "Fine," he finally said, "but no rules. Anything goes." "Anything goes," she agreed. They moved to the center of the parking lot. The asphalt was clean, no vehicles around, a perfect location for a confrontation. Derek removed his jacket, revealing a muscular torso. Years in the gym had clearly paid off. Broad shoulders, thick chest, powerful arms. He knew he looked intimidating. Maya only removed her hoodie, standing in a simple t-shirt. Next to Derek, she appeared even more fragile. "Last chance to back down," he offered with a sneer. "Thanks, but no. Your funeral." Derek didn't hesitate. He lunged forward, aiming to end it with the first punch. His fist flew straight at her face with enough force to break her nose. What happened next shattered his entire understanding of reality. Maya didn't even attempt to dodge. Instead, she shifted a half step to the side, allowing the punch to sail past her head. Simultaneously, she brought up her right forearm to deflect the blow with perfect precision. The movement was so swift, so exact, that Derek didn't have time to process it. Then Maya countered. Her left hand shot forward like a piston, landing squarely in his solar plexus. The strike was short, but carried terrifying power. 5 years of training, thousands of hours perfecting her technique, all of it focused into that single blow. Maya's fist sank into Derek's abdomen just below his ribcage. He doubled over, gasping like a fish out of water. His diaphragm spasmed, his lungs refusing to function. He tried to draw breath but couldn't. Panic flooded his eyes as he dropped to his knees. "What? How?" he croaked, still not comprehending what had just occurred. Maya stood over him, calm as ever. There was no strain, no sign of effort in her posture. "First rule of fighting," she said softly. "Never underestimate your opponent." Derek attempted to rise, but his legs wouldn't cooperate. That strike to the solar plexus had been delivered with surgical precision, enough to incapacitate but not to cause lasting harm. You box," he managed to whisper. "Not boxing." Maya crouched down so their eyes were level. "Mixed martial arts, 5 years of intensive training. Pennsylvania State Junior Champion, 28 fights, 26 victories." Derek's eyes widened in horror. "But you know what's most interesting?" Maya continued. "I didn't even use 1/10 of my strength. If I had, that punch would have cracked your ribs and damaged your spine." She stood and stepped back a few paces. "I moved here, hoping to live a normal life. I'm tired of people being afraid of me. My mom asked me to hide my abilities and I agreed. I wanted to be just another girl." Derek finally managed to catch his breath and slowly pushed himself to his feet, clutching his stomach and staring at Maya with newfound eyes. "But you didn't give me that opportunity." Maya's voice turned cold. "You thought I was an easy target. You were wrong. Look, I didn't know, Derek began. Of course you didn't, but now you have a choice. Maya stepped closer. Despite the height difference, Derek felt small and vulnerable before her. Either you keep your word, leave me alone and apologize in front of everyone, or, she shrugged lightly, tomorrow I'll demonstrate to everyone what I can really do. With witnesses, on video. How do you think your basketball teammates will react when they see their captain flattened by a girl half his size in 30 seconds? Derek realized he was trapped. His reputation, his status at school, everything he had built, it all hung by a thread. All right, he rasped. All right, I'll do it. Smart choice. Maya picked up her hoodie and started to walk away. Oh, and Derek, she turned back to look at him. If you or your friends so much as glance at me or any other student here the wrong way, I'll know. And then our next conversation will be very different. She walked away, leaving Derek standing alone in the empty parking lot. He clutched his stomach and couldn't believe what had just happened. 30 minutes ago, he had been the king of the school. Now, the next morning, the entire school was buzzing. Derek Walsh, the terror of underclassmen, the untouchable leader of the seniors, walked up to Maya in the hallway and, loud enough for everyone to hear, apologized for what had happened in the cafeteria. I'm sorry, Maya, he said, his voice completely sincere. What I did yesterday was wrong. I was a complete jerk. Students around them stood with their mouths agape. Derek Walsh apologizing to the new girl? Thank you, Derek, Maya said calmly. I accept your apology. From that day forward, the atmosphere at school changed completely. Derek and his friends didn't just leave Maya alone. They seemed to become her invisible guardians. When any of the younger students tried to bully someone else, a single look from Derek was enough to make them retreat. But the most surprising development happened a week later. A group of girls approached Maya, led by Ashley Rodriguez, one of the most popular students in school. Maya, Ashley began hesitantly, we heard, there are rumors. Is it true that you really know how to fight? Why do you want to know? Maya asked. We have a problem. Some guys from another school keep harassing us after classes. The teachers can't do anything because it happens off school property, and if we tell our parents, they'll just forbid us from going out. Maya looked closely at the girls. She could see the fear and desperation in their eyes. Tell me more, she said softly. It turned out that a group of high school boys from Westfield had been waiting for Jefferson High girls at the bus stop every day. They never physically hurt them, but their harassment was becoming bolder and more aggressive. Just the day before, one of them had tried to grab Ashley's hand, and when she pulled away, he had threatened her. Next time, you won't be able to escape. How many of them are there? Maya asked. 5, one of the girls replied, and they're all big. I think they're about 18 or 19. And you girls? There are 4 of us usually. We go together. Maya thought for a moment. 5 against 1 wasn't great odds, even for her. But these girls needed help, and the teachers and parents couldn't really do much in this situation. All right, she said finally. After school today, go to the bus stop as usual. I'll be there. What are you going to do? Ashley asked, a tremor in her voice. We'll see what the situation calls for, Maya answered calmly. At 3:45 p.m., Maya took her position at the bus stop. She sat on the bench, pretending to read a book, but her eyes never left the area. Ashley and her friends arrived a few minutes later, standing slightly apart and exchanging nervous glances. The Westfield boys showed up right on schedule. 5 large teenage boys in athletic wear with cocky faces and arrogant swagger. Their leader, a tall blonde with a tattoo on his neck, immediately headed for the girls. Well, look who we have here, he said loudly. Our favorite princesses from Jefferson. Leave us alone, Marcus. Ashley tried to sound brave. Are we bothering you? He sneered. We're just having a friendly chat. He grinned. By the way, yesterday you ran off too quickly. Didn't even give me a chance to get to know you better. He reached out to touch Ashley's cheek. She shrank back. But one of his friends stepped behind her, blocking her escape. Don't be scared, sweetheart. I don't bite, he said mockingly. That was when Maya intervened. Excuse me, she said, walking up to the group. Could you move, please? The bus will be here soon, and you're blocking the way. Marcus turned to her, his eyes narrowing as he sized her up. And who the hell are you? I'm a student at Jefferson, and these girls are my friends. I see, he scoffed. Well, why don't you run along? We're having a little chat with your friends. Here? I'm afraid that's not going to happen, Maya said evenly. They don't want to talk to you. Marcus took a step closer to Maya. He was nearly 6.5 feet tall, and next to him she looked tiny. Listen, little girl, he growled. Stay out of this, or you'll regret it. And what exactly will I regret? Maya asked, in a calm, steady voice. The other boys burst out laughing. They thought it was hilarious that this small, fragile-looking girl wasn't scared of their leader. You know what? Marcus turned to his friends. I like this one. She's got some spirit. Maybe we should take her with us. One of the boys, a stocky brunette with gold teeth, moved behind Maya. Good idea, Marcus. It's been a while since we had some fresh company. He reached out to grab her shoulders. That was his mistake. Maya didn't even turn around. In a single fluid motion, she snapped her left elbow back, aiming for his solar plexus. The blow was short, but powerful. The boy doubled over, gasping for breath, and fell to his knees. What the... Marcus started, but he didn't get to finish. Maya turned to face him, and something in her eyes stopped him cold. It was the gaze of a predator, cold, calculating, completely fearless. You have 2 minutes to get out of here, she said quietly. That's the only warning you'll get. Marcus couldn't believe what he was hearing. Some girl barely 5.5 feet tall was threatening him and his crew. You've lost your mind, he roared. I'll crush you with one hand. He didn't finish. Maya moved so fast he didn't even have time to react. One moment she was 6 feet away, the next, her fist slammed into his liver, with enough force to make his insides twist in agony. He doubled over, gasping for air, and then she kneed him in the face. His nose crunched under the impact and blood poured from his nostrils. Marcus fell onto his back, struggling not to pass out. The entire attack took less than 3 seconds. The other 3 boys stood frozen, stunned. Their leader, the one they'd always seen as invincible, lay on the ground in a pool of his own blood. Who's next? Maya asked, turning to them. No one moved. They'd seen what she did to Marcus, and they understood. This girl wasn't joking. Wise choice, Maya said, nodding. Now take your friend and leave, and if I ever see any of you near these girls again, the conversation will be very different. The boys lifted the groaning Marcus and hurried away. The one she'd elbowed first was still on his knees, clutching his stomach. You too, Maya told him. Get out of here. When the bullies finally disappeared from sight, Ashley and her friends rushed over to Maya. Their eyes were wide with a mixture of awe and relief. That was incredible, Ashley gasped. How do you know how to do that? It's a long story, Maya shrugged. The important thing is they won't bother you anymore. What if they come back? One of the girls asked, her voice still trembling. They won't, Maya said. Guys like Marcus only understand strength. Today he learned a lesson he won't forget anytime soon. Just then, the bus arrived at the stop. The girls climbed aboard, still talking in excited whispers about what had just happened. Maya stayed behind, waiting for the next bus. By the time she finally got home, her mother was already preparing dinner. How was school today? Lisa asked as usual. Better, Maya replied with a small smile. Much better. Her mother studied, her face closely. Something had shifted in Maya these past few days. She seemed more confident, more at ease. The constant tension that had been in her movements since the first day at her new school was gone. Did you make some new friends? Lisa asked carefully. Yeah, Maya said. Turns out there are some pretty good kids here. I'm glad to hear that. Maya went up to her room and sat down at her desk. She opened her textbook, but her mind was far from her homework. Today had changed everything for her at this new school. She no longer needed to hide or pretend to be weak and defenseless. She could finally be herself. The next day, everyone at school had heard about what happened at the bus stop. The story grew with every retelling, but the core remained the same. The new girl from Philadelphia had taken down 5 senior boys from Westfield, all by herself. Students from every grade came up to Maya. Some just wanted to say hello, others asked her how to stand up for themselves. A few girls wondered if she could show them some self-defense moves. Of course, Maya agreed. I think that would be really useful. She made arrangements with the wrestling team's coach to use the gym after school. Within a week, she had a group of about 25 students, mostly girls but a few boys too. Maya taught them the basics of self-defense, how to position their hands, where to aim when they had to strike, how to break free from a grab. She explained that in a fight, strength wasn't as important as technique and the ability to stay calm. Remember, she told her students, the best fight is the one you avoid, but if you can't avoid it, you strike first, you strike hard, and you finish it quickly. The classes quickly became popular, not just with students, but with teachers too. Even the school principal, Mr. Anderson, took notice. One afternoon, he called Maya into his office. Maya, he said, what you're doing is really important. These days, kids need to know how to protect themselves. Thank you, Mr. Anderson, Maya replied. I spoke to your mother, he continued. She told me about what you accomplished back in Philadelphia. Why did you keep your skills a secret? Maya paused. I thought it would be easier, she admitted. I thought I could just live a normal life. And how's that working out? Mr. Anderson asked gently. You know what I realized? Maya said thoughtfully. Hiding who you really are isn't living, it's just existing. Real life starts when you stop being afraid to be yourself. Mr. Anderson smiled. Wise words for a 17-year-old. I had to grow up fast, Maya said simply. About a month after the incident with the Westfield boys, something else happened that firmly cemented Maya's reputation at the school. A major mixed martial arts organization came to town to put on an exhibition and scout for young talent. The event was held at the local sports center, and many of Jefferson High's students went to watch. Maya didn't plan on participating. She just went to watch with Ashley and the others. But when the organizers announced an open ring for anyone who wanted to spar, the crowd of students started chanting her name. Maya! 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 Mike Rodriguez, a former professional fighter, and one of the event's organizers, noticed the commotion. What's going on? He asked. The kids want one of the students to fight, someone explained. They say she's a state champion. Really? How old is she? Rodriguez asked, intrigued. 17, came the answer. Rodriguez frowned. Too young for a real fight, but maybe we can set up a light sparring match with one of our girls. He approached. The crowd. So where's this champion of yours? Ashley nudged Maya forward. Here she is. Rodriguez looked Maya up and down, his gaze skeptical. She was small, wearing jeans and a simple t-shirt. She didn't look like a fighter. You really a state champion? He asked. I was, Maya said, in Pennsylvania. What weight class? 125 pounds. All right, we've got a girl about your size. Want to do a light sparring match? No strikes to the head and you'll be wearing protective gear. Maya looked at her classmates. In their eyes she saw hope and excitement. They believed in her, and she couldn't let them down. All right, she said. A few minutes later, Maya was in the center of the ring, wearing a protective helmet and gloves. Her opponent was Kelly Santos, a 21-year-old up-and-coming professional fighter with 6 amateur fights under her belt. Don't worry, kid, Kelly said during their warm-up. This is just an exhibition. Maya just nodded. She felt completely at home. The smell of sweat and leather, the bright lights, the roar of the crowd. It was all so familiar. The referee gave the signal to begin. Kelly started carefully, feeling Maya out. She threw a few light jabs to test her reaction. Maya calmly blocked or dodged them, not rushing to attack. Decent defense, Kelly thought. She decided to turn it up a notch. She launched a 3-strike combination. A left jab, a right cross, and a kick to Maya's side. Her technique was perfect, her speed impressive. But Maya was ready. She dodged the first 2 punches and caught the kick, pulling Kelly off balance. Hands sweeping her legs out from under her, Kelly crashed to the mat, stunned. Maya immediately followed her down, taking the fight to the ground. Kelly was strong on the mat, but Maya was stronger. With a few quick transitions, she had Kelly locked in a chokehold. Kelly tried to escape, but Maya's grip was tight and controlled. She had no choice but to tap out. The gym exploded with applause. The Jefferson High students shouted and whistled, not believing what they'd just seen. Their classmate had beaten a professional fighter. Mike Rodriguez approached the ring, a look of surprise on his face. Where did you train? He asked Maya. In Philadelphia at Sensei Rodriguez's dojo, she replied. Rodriguez, I know him. He's a great coach. Rodriguez looked thoughtful for a moment. Listen, would you be interested in pursuing this seriously? You've got the talent to achieve something big. Maya looked over at her classmates, their eyes wide with admiration and excitement. Her mother was in the crowd too, smiling proudly. Thanks for the offer, Maya said with a small smile, but right now I just want to be a high school student. There are more important things I need to take care of here. After that exhibition match, Maya's fame spread far beyond the school. Local newspapers wrote about her, and a short feature aired on regional TV. But for Maya, none of that was what mattered most. What mattered was that she had finally found her place. She wasn't just the new girl anymore, struggling to fit in. She had become a leader, someone others looked up to. Her self-defense classes were now attended by more than 60 people. The girls in her class had grown more confident, and even the boys treated her with genuine respect. Even Derek Walsh had changed. He was no longer the school's biggest bully. In fact, he'd started helping the younger students. One day, he approached Maya after a training session. You know, he said awkwardly, rubbing the back of his neck, I just wanted to say thank you. For what? Maya asked. For stopping me that day. I was a real jerk. If you hadn't put me in my place, I'd probably be even worse now. Maya smiled. We all make mistakes, Derek. The important thing is to learn from them. I'm trying, Derek said earnestly. And you know, if you ever need any help, you can count on me. It was a turning point not just for Derek, but for the entire school. The atmosphere changed completely. Bullying disappeared. There was no more picking on new kids. Instead, students started helping each other, building each other up. But the true test of everything they'd built was still ahead. At the beginning of November, the school was shaken by shocking news. Marcus Stone, the same bully Maya had taken down at the bus stop, had been arrested for assaulting a girl from another district. This time, he'd gone too far. He was facing real prison time. But Marcus came from a powerful family. His father, a wealthy businessman, hired the best lawyers money could buy. They started working to get the charges against his son dropped. One of their strategies was to accuse Maya of provoking the incident back in October. 3 months after Marcus's arrest, his lawyers filed a countersuit. They claimed that Maya's attack on Marcus had pushed him to further acts of aggression. They wanted her held accountable as a co-conspirator. The case quickly became a media sensation. Local news outlets split into 2 camps. Some called Maya a hero, others said she'd gone too far. "Can a 17-year-old girl really be that dangerous?" asked one newspaper. "Self-defense or assault? Where's the line?" wondered a local TV channel. Maya suddenly found herself in the middle of a storm. For several days, reporters camped outside their house, but soon the frenzy died down. Her mother was worried, but she stayed strong. "Maybe we should leave," Lisa suggested one night as they cleaned up dinner. "Start over somewhere else." "No," Maya said firmly. "I'm not going anywhere. I didn't do anything wrong." "But this case," her mother started. "This case will reveal the truth," Maya said calmly, "and the truth is on our side." The trial was set for 2 months later. Marcus's lawyers tried to paint Maya as a violent girl with serious anger issues, someone who used her fighting skills to hurt innocent people. But they had overlooked one crucial fact. Maya had witnesses. On the day of the trial, the courtroom was packed. Students from Jefferson High came to support her, along with teachers and parents. Ashley and her friends sat in the front row, silently cheering her on. Marcus's lawyer opened with an emotional speech, painting his client as a boy who'd gotten caught up in a normal teenage encounter that spiraled out of control. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury," he said, "this is the story of a simple attempt at teenage flirtation that turned into a savage beating. My client was merely trying to get to know some girls like any boy his age might." "Objection," Maya's lawyer interrupted. "Your Honor, Mr. Stone is not the defendant here." "Sustained," the judge said. "Watch your phrasing, counselor," Marcus's lawyer continued. But when it came time for witness testimony, the narrative started to crack. Ashley Rodriguez was the first to take the stand. "Tell the court what happened that day at the bus stop," the prosecutor prompted her gently. "Marcus Stone and his friends had been harassing us for weeks," Ashley said, her voice shaking. "They said disgusting things. They tried to touch us. That day, Marcus tried to grab my face. When I pulled away, one of his friends stood behind me so I couldn't run. And then what happened?" "Maya stepped in," Ashley said, gaining strength. "She told them to leave us alone, but they started threatening her too." "Who attacked first?" the prosecutor asked. "One of Marcus's friends grabbed Maya from behind," Ashley said firmly. "She defended herself." Marcus's lawyer tried to undermine Ashley's testimony, but she held her ground. Other girls, along with a few random bystanders who'd witnessed the incident, all testified to the same thing. Maya had acted in defense of herself and the other girls, but the most powerful testimony came from Maya herself. "Miss Chen," the prosecutor said, addressing her gently, "could you tell the court about your history with martial arts?" Maya stood up, shoulders squared, and began to speak. She told them about how she'd started training in martial arts after she herself had been bullied at school, about the years of discipline, the competitions she had won, and how her training had taught her not just to fight, but to control her aggression. "My sensei always said," she continued, "that real strength isn't about causing pain. It's about knowing when to stop. That day at the bus stop, I could have seriously hurt those boys, but I used the minimum force necessary to stop them." "And what did you feel in that moment?" the prosecutor asked. "Responsibility," Maya said without hesitation. "For the girls they were trying to hurt, for myself, and for showing them that what they were doing was wrong." Marcus's lawyer tried to shake her during cross-examination, but Maya stayed calm and honest. She didn't make excuses or downplay what had happened. "You admit you struck my client?" he pressed. "Yes," Maya said. "I admit it, and that it was a strong blow. Strong enough to stop him," she answered simply. "Did you consider that you might seriously injure him?" "I had full control over the strength of the blow," Maya said. "My sensei taught me how to measure my force according to the situation." "But you could have just run away, couldn't you?" the lawyer asked, leaning forward. Maya met his gaze with a steady, unwavering look. "And what about those girls? Were they supposed to run too? For how long?" Someone had to stop your client, and I did." The courtroom erupted in applause, but the judge quickly called for order. The final statements were a formality. The prosecutor's arguments were clear and compelling. Maya had acted within the law to defend herself and others. The jury needed only 15 minutes to reach a verdict. The decision was unanimous, not guilty on all counts. When the judge read the verdict, the room filled with applause again. Maya hugged her mother, who was crying tears of relief and pride. "Thank you for believing in me," Maya said to her classmates, who had stayed until the very end to support her. "We always believed in you," Ashley said with a smile. "You taught us the most important lesson, not to be afraid to be strong." After the trial, life began to return to normal. The media lost interest, and the reporters stopped crowding outside their house. But the changes that Maya had started didn't fade away. Her self-defense classes were officially added to the school's physical education program. The administration gave her a dedicated space and the equipment she needed. Professional instructors joined in to help, but Maya remained the main coach. She taught more than just fighting techniques. She taught the psychology of self-defense, how to recognize a dangerous situation, how to avoid conflict, how to help others without putting yourself at unnecessary risk. "Remember," she would tell her students, "strength isn't just physical skills. Real strength is confidence in yourself, standing up for what's right and being ready to protect the vulnerable." Her words resonated not only with students, but also with adults. Parents of the kids, teachers, and even some people from the community started attending the classes. Maya's classes became a place where people of all ages learned how to be brave, how to stand tall in the face of fear. It was more than self-defense, it was about building a community. Maya's quiet courage and fierce determination had started something bigger than she ever imagined. Maya had become a symbol that even the most ordinary person could change the world around them, but the most important change happened within her. Maya no longer tried to hide her true self. She understood that accepting who she was the first step to making the world a better place. One evening, as she was walking home after another training session, a stranger approached her. Maya immediately tensed, ready to defend herself. "Maya Chen?" he asked. "Yes," she said cautiously. "My name is David Wilson. I'm the father of one of the girls you protected from those bullies." Maya relaxed a little. "Oh, I see. How's your daughter doing?" "She's great. And you know why? Because she's been coming to your classes. She's become a different person, confident, strong, and ready to stand up for herself." He paused, searching for the right words. "I just wanted to say thank you, not just for protecting her that day, but for teaching her to protect herself. That's the greatest gift you could give a child." "There's no need to thank me," Maya replied. "I'm just doing what I believe is right." "You know what?" he said quietly. "It's people like you who make the world a better place." When Maya got home, her mother was already asleep. She quietly slipped into her room and sat by the window, looking up at the starry sky. A year ago, she had been a frightened girl moving to a new town, hoping to go unnoticed. Today, she was a leader, a teacher, a protector, someone she had always been meant to be. It hadn't been easy. She had faced prejudice, conquered her fears, and weathered a very public scandal, but every challenge only made her stronger. Maya understood one essential truth: you can't hide from your destiny. You can try to be someone else to fit into the expectations of others, but sooner or later your true nature will come out. And when that happens, you have to be ready to take responsibility for your strength. The next day at school, Maya was in for a surprise. Principal Anderson called her to his office, where members of the city council, the parents' committee, and the local press were gathered. "Maya," the principal said solemnly, "the city council has decided to award you an honorary medal for courage and service to the community. You're the youngest person in our town's history to receive this award." Maya was stunned. She had never imagined her actions would be recognized in such a way. "Thank you," she said, accepting the beautiful medal from the mayor's hands. "But I want to share this award with everyone who stood by me, with my students who found the strength to change, with my classmates who believed in me, with the teachers who helped me grow." Her speech was short but deeply sincere. She spoke about how true strength didn't come from physical skills, but from the willingness to stand up for the truth, to help the weak, and to never be afraid to be yourself. "Each of us can be a hero," she concluded. "We just have to find the courage to take that first step." In her final year at Jefferson High, Maya became the student council president. She used that position to completely dismantle the last remnants of the school's hierarchy of power and intimidation. She helped establish a peer mediation court, a body that resolved conflicts between students through reconciliation and understanding. Rather than punishment, The goal isn't to punish the bully, Maya explained to those learning how the peer court worked. It's to help him understand why his behavior was wrong and to change it. The system worked. The number of serious conflicts at the school dropped to nearly zero. After the award ceremony, a reporter from the local newspaper approached Maya. "What are you planning to do next? I hear a lot of sports organizations are offering you professional contracts. For now, I just want to finish high school," Maya replied with a quiet smile. "And maybe someday I'll become a coach. I want to help other kids find their strength the way my sensei helped me." "Do you regret not hiding your skills from the start?" the reporter asked. Maya paused to think. "You know, I spent a long time trying to be someone I wasn't. I thought it would be easier that way, but it turned out to be the opposite. When you hide your true self, you're not just lying to others, you're lying to yourself. And sooner or later, that only causes problems." "So you believe we should always be honest with ourselves?" the reporter pressed. "Yes," Maya said firmly. "Every person is born with certain talents, abilities, and a purpose. Our job isn't to hide them, it's to use them for good. Of course, that requires responsibility. But there's no real strength without responsibility." The interview was published on the front page of the paper and quickly spread across the internet. Maya became a symbol for countless teens who were afraid to show their true abilities. Letters started pouring in from all over the country. Kids shared their struggles, asked for advice, and told her how her story had inspired them to find their own strength. One letter touched Maya deeply. It was from a 15-year-old girl in Texas. "Dear Maya," it read, "my name is Sophia. I want to tell you my story. I've always been overweight and awkward. At school, they teased me all the time, and I would just cry and run away. But after I read about you, I decided to sign up for martial arts. At first, it was really hard, but I didn't give up. And last week, something amazing happened. When the older kids tried to tease me again, I didn't cry. I looked them in the eyes and said, 'Leave me alone.' And you know what? They did. Thank you for showing me that anyone can be strong. Your grateful fan, Sophia." Reading letters like that, Maya knew she had found her true calling. She wanted to help kids find their inner strength, to teach them not to be afraid to be themselves. 6 more months passed. Maya was now in her final year, preparing to apply to college. She chose to major in psychology with a specialization in sports therapy. She wanted to become a sports psychologist and work with young athletes. But fate had one more test in store for her. One evening, as Maya was walking home after training, a stranger approached her. She immediately sensed danger. He was clearly drunk and aggressive. "So you're the little bitch who messed up my son," he growled. Maya knew instantly who he was. Standing before her was Mr. Stone, Marcus Stone's father, the same Marcus who was now serving time in juvenile detention for his crimes. "Mr. Stone," she said, stepping slowly toward the well-lit part of the street, "your son made his own choices. He's responsible for what happened. My boy was a good kid until he met you." Stone sneered. He took a step closer, his fists clenching. Maya assessed the situation calmly. The man was huge, almost 6.5 feet tall, well over 200 pounds. But his balance was off, his movements sloppy from the alcohol. "Calm down," she said firmly. "Leave before I call the police." "Police?" He laughed, a bitter, broken sound. "First, I'll show you what it's like to be weak." He lunged at her, reaching for her shoulders. Maya was ready. She slipped out of his grasp and drove a short, precise punch into his solar plexus. The alcohol dulled his reflexes, and he couldn't react fast enough. He doubled over, gasping for air, and tried to attack her again. This time, Maya knew she had to end it quickly. One sharp blow to the jaw, and the man crumpled to the pavement unconscious. She immediately pulled out her phone and called the police. Within minutes, a patrol car and an ambulance arrived. When they got there, Stone was still out cold. The paramedics diagnosed a mild concussion, but no serious injuries. "Another self-defense case?" the detective asked, already familiar with Maya from the previous incident. "He attacked me on the street," Maya said calmly. "I defended myself." "I understand," the detective said. "Any witnesses?" Maya looked around. Luckily, the incident had happened near a store, and a security camera had caught the whole thing. The footage made everything crystal clear. Maya was defending herself from a violent attacker. The case didn't even make it to court. The video showed beyond doubt who the real aggressor was. Mr. Stone was held responsible for the assault and for making threats. Maya was officially recognized as having acted in lawful self-defense, but the incident made her think. She realized that her reputation might not only attract admirers, but also those who wanted to test her strength or take revenge for past defeats. That evening, over dinner, she said to her mother, "Mom, I think we need to have a serious talk." "About what, sweetheart?" Lisa asked, setting down her fork. "About what happened today and about what might happen in the future." Maya told her mother everything, her fears and her worries, how she was concerned not just for herself but for her friends, her students, and everyone close to her. "Are you afraid?" Lisa asked quietly. "No, I'm not afraid," Maya said steadily. "But I'm worried. What if next time it's not just one drunk man but a whole group?" Lisa was silent for a long moment, thinking carefully. "You know what, Maya?" she said finally. "I'm proud of you. Not just because you can fight, but because you think about others, because you're willing to take responsibility for their safety." "But what should I do?" Maya asked softly. "Exactly what you've always done," Lisa said with a gentle smile. "Be yourself, protect those who need protection, and never let fear control your life." The next day at school, everyone was talking about what had happened. The story spread quickly around town. Maya had defended herself again. Students from every grade came up to her, offering their support and encouragement. The local newspaper ran an article about the problem of community safety, using Maya's story as a powerful example. But most importantly, the incident didn't break her spirit. It only strengthened her resolve to keep helping other kids. Her self-defense program expanded to other schools in the district. Maya traveled regularly, giving seminars and sharing her experience with other trainers. Most importantly, the kids themselves began to change. They grew braver, more confident, ready to stand up for themselves and for each other. Incidents of bullying dropped dramatically. "You know what your greatest victory is?" Ashley asked her one day. "What?" Maya replied. "You showed all of us that you can be strong and kind at the same time, that real strength isn't about hurting the weak, it's about protecting them." In her final year, Maya's leadership only grew. As student council president, she used her influence to dismantle the last remnants of the old fear-based hierarchy. The peer mediation court she helped create became a model of fairness and empathy. No one was punished for the sake of punishment. It was about understanding, growth, and second chances. "The goal isn't to punish the bully," Maya explained to everyone, "but to help him understand why what he did was wrong and to change." And it worked. Serious conflicts in the school dropped to almost zero. Finally, graduation day arrived. Maya stood on stage in her cap and gown, diploma in hand. She wasn't just the top student academically, she had become a leader, a voice for change. "Dear graduates," she began her speech, her voice clear and calm. "4 years ago, I came to this school as a scared girl who just wanted to be invisible. I thought if I stayed quiet and small, I could avoid problems." The auditorium was completely silent, hanging on her every word. "But life taught me something different," she said with a gentle smile. "Problems find us whether we hide or not, and then we have a choice, to give up or to fight." She paused, looking out at the familiar faces of her friends and teachers. "I chose to fight. Not because I loved to fight, but because there were people around me who needed to be protected. And you know what? It didn't just change their lives, it changed mine too." The applause interrupted her briefly, but she continued with quiet determination. "Today, we all go our separate ways. Some to college, some to work, some to the military. But remember, wherever you are, always be yourself. Don't hide your talents, don't be afraid to be strong. The world needs people who will stand up for truth and justice." She raised her diploma above her head, her eyes shining with certainty. "And one more thing. If you ever see someone being hurt, don't walk away. Lend a hand. Be the change you want to see in the world." The auditorium erupted in applause. It was a standing ovation. Her classmates, teachers, and parents all cheered for her. When the ceremony ended, Derek Walsh came over to her. Once the school's biggest bully, he was now about to enter college to study social work. "Maya," he said awkwardly, "I just wanted to say thank you again." "For what?" she asked with a small smile. "For not breaking my nose that day," he laughed, "even though I deserved it. But more than that, for showing me there was another way. If it weren't for that lesson, I might have turned out to be someone very different. We all make mistakes." "Derek," Maya said gently, "the important thing is to learn from them." "You know," Derek said thoughtfully, "I've been thinking. Maybe everything happens for a reason. Maybe you came to our school because we needed you." Maya thought about that. Maybe he was right. Maybe her move to Riverside had never been an accident. That night at home, Maya sat in her room, packing her things. Tomorrow she was leaving for Boston. She had decided on that. College would be a new life with new challenges and new opportunities, but she was no longer afraid of change. 4 years at Jefferson High had taught her the most important lesson of all. It doesn't matter where you are or what you're facing. What matters is who you are inside. Her mother peeked into the room. "How are you feeling, sweetheart?" she asked, softly. "Good," Maya said with a quiet smile. "I'm thinking about the future." "And what do you see?" "I see a lot of work, a lot of kids who need help, a lot of chances to make the world a better place," Maya said, her voice steady. "I'm proud of you," her mother said. "And I'm proud that you're my mom," Maya replied, hugging her tight. "Thank you for always believing in me." They held each other for a long moment, a silent bond of love and gratitude. The next morning, half the town came to see Maya off at the station. Her students, classmates, teachers, and even people she barely knew stood together, waiting to say goodbye. "Don't forget us," Ashley said through her tears. "How could I ever forget you?" Maya said with a warm smile. "You'll all always be in my heart." As the train pulled away, Maya watched the town she'd come to love fade into the distance. This was the place where she had found herself, where she had learned her purpose. But ahead lay a new chapter, and Maya was ready for it. At college, she studied psychology, focusing on working with teenagers. She also coached the university's martial arts team and ran self-defense classes for female students. The story of the girl who changed her school spread far and wide. Books were written about her, documentaries filmed. But for Maya, it was all just the beginning. After college, she spent a few years working as a psychologist in youth centers, gaining experience and learning everything she could. Then, at the age of 27, she opened her own center for developing young leaders. She started small, a single office, a handful of students. But soon it grew. Teenagers from nearby towns came to train with her, kids who had faced bullying, kids who were afraid to stand up for themselves, kids who wanted to change the world around them. "Remember," Maya told them, her voice calm and strong, "each of you was born for something great. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Be yourself, fight for what's right, and never give up." Her center became one of the most respected in the region. Some of her graduates returned to their own communities to start similar programs. Slowly but surely, a network of allies grew. Within a few years, Maya was recognized as one of the leading experts in her state on fighting school bullying. She was invited to speak at conferences, consult with school districts, and help design educational programs. But she never forgot where it all began. Every year, on her graduation anniversary, she returned to Riverside. She met with old friends, ran workshops for new generations of students. "You know what's amazing?" said the 30-year-old Maya in an interview with the local paper. "I used to think moving to that small town was the end of everything, but it turned out to be the beginning. Because there in that small town, she discovered who she wanted to be." Years went by. Maya became not just a successful psychologist and coach, but an example to thousands of children in her region. A symbol that anyone can change their life and the lives of those around them if they find the courage to be themselves. And in the small town of Riverside, in the gym at Jefferson High, there was a photograph of a slender girl with determined eyes. Beneath it, a plaque read, "Maya Chen, class of 2014. She taught us that true strength lies in the willingness to protect others." Every new generation of students who looked at that photograph learned the story of how one girl changed an entire world, and they understood the most important lesson of all: each of us can be a hero. All it takes is the courage to take that first step. The story ended exactly where it was meant to end, not with loud fanfare, but with a quiet certainty that the world was just a little bit better, because one person found the strength not to hide but to shine. Oh,